There's more to life than outcomes. I meet a lot of people on my therapeutic journey who are outcome obsessed. Being the best often, not always, but they're high achievers. And in therapy, they're like, Key, if I invest in the 15 sessions with you, what will be the outcome at the end? Well, as interesting as this may be, if you're outcome orientated, I have to be clear with my outcome folks. I do not know what the outcome will be at the end of therapy because I do not know what will emerge. This video goes out to all my high achievers, the people who are passionately pursuing success, who have a positive outcomes orientated mindset, that constant reframing of negative experience into positivity. Sounds good, right? I mean, who wants to be miserable? But often what can happen is when you only focus on outcomes, you miss the process. Often there's a process, and generally people who think in outcomes only will have a great sense of failure when things don't go their way. And when that sense of failure kicks in, it can be rather cataclysmic, come on Key, and that can lead to a real collapse, a real low that is particularly baffling. Does this make sense to you? If it does, give your girl Key a heart and a like. Often these types of people tend to be really logical, and they do that at the expense of their emotions. Often you try to control your emotions. And that's why when you're not as successful, that's why when the goals that you're trying to achieve, you aren't hitting them, it can be very difficult for you because now all the aspects of self that have been pushed down and stuffed away come up and hit you. And this can be the place that you find the most difficult. And often it's the place where people reach out to therapy, which is good. But, and this also goes out to the people who may have boarded in school, who've had to achieve highly in order to please parents. Look, that's a good thing, right? Being successful is a good thing. I'm not criticizing that. But what I'm talking about is the shadow side, and how the shadow is often what comes abruptly into your awareness when you're not achieving, when you've not got the promotion, when you're not successful in the way that you'd hoped you'd be. And this creates a real opportunity, a real window of opportunity of self-insight, exploration in order to understand what is going on. And if this makes sense to you, if it makes sense to your dilemma, then this is good for you, right? Because hopefully I'm speaking to your pain. The challenge you have is you've been highly logical at the expense of the emotional. Sometimes you think you've been able to control your emotions. And my friend, that doesn't happen. There comes a point when your emotional self has enough of the games, enough of the positive reframing, enough of the strict schedules that you set for yourself, and you enter into collapse. This is where we don't want to get out of bed anymore. My ambition when you get into the therapy room is to have a chat. That's all we're going to do. That's what I tell people. Let's have a chat. Let's see what's going on in your life. Let's have a little rummage. And most of all, let's be curious. For some of us, for some of the people who have entered into outcomes only success, often working in corporate roles, high jobs, demanding roles, this is all you'll know, and your sense of self is developed on being successful. So I'm always curious about the other aspect of self, the emotional self, how you've dealt with problems, the way that you might positively reframe. Because another thing that people who tend to be highly outcome focused people do, what they do is they tend to compartmentalize. They tend to put things in little boxes and think that by doing that, they can manage and control their psyche. Doesn't work like that. What you will get is short-term gain And in the long run, this is where we meet those crisis points where we're not able to navigate in the usual way, or your coping strategies are kaput. They don't work anymore. And that is crucial, a crucial time for self-reflection. A second thing that I also know with my outcomes, high achieving, successful people is you can often at times struggle to pursue a passion for pursuing a passion's sake. So if it isn't something that might get you high regard or validation, then it is not to be pursued. And that can often mean we don't give ourselves opportunity to explore the passions and desires of our heart. You may want to be able to do tap dancing, something creative, artwork. You may be someone who wants to sing. However, and maybe often this is also kind of supported by pushy parents. Sorry, I ain't dissing your parents. We know they came from a place of love, but there was just some unintended consequences based on how they raised us. It may mean that the passions and desires of your heart you've excluded out of your life. Sometimes you've told yourself a story like, oh, well, I'm not really interested in that anymore. But you know what? Sometimes I have to encourage people, even at times, give them permission to say yes to themselves, to give those aspects of self an opportunity to be explored. And lastly, when you're outcome only orientated, which is also compromised by a success, failure, all or nothing mindset, that can be helpful, for example, in the corporate world. But in terms of your own personal life, it's not so great, because life does not move in a linear fashion. And we are not really in control. We often have the illusion of control. And so when you experience that, that can be particularly difficult and send you into a place of not feeling like, I don't know what to do, things aren't working my way. That need to be in control is also a factor that feeds into the crisis time that you experience. And my hope for you is that you get good, decent therapy. CBT will have its place. And at times, you need a more in-depth psychotherapeutic relationship to look at your life beyond coping strategies, to get to the core issue that is fueling the depths of sadness and despair that you may be experiencing. So I know that your success, the material goods, the lifestyle that you have is a wonderful thing. However, there is a shadow side to success. And this can be very difficult when you don't understand, or you've been under the illusion that you can control your emotions. And so you box things away and you believe that you're in control. And the crisis moments you experience, the I can't get out of bed, I don't know why these things aren't working for me anymore, are an unwelcomed opportunity for deep self-reflection, self-inspection, in order for me as your therapist, should you choose me, to come alongside you and see how this outcome way of being has disconnected you from your own authentic self. The ambition is to reconnect you to your own authenticity, and that is a wondrous journey. I hope this video makes sense to all my high achievers, my outcome orientated people, the people who are logical. Sometimes, everything is goal, achieve, structure, routine has its place. But sometimes it goes too far. The authentic self is so compromised that when that low hits, it can be a wonderful time, in my view, for the self-reflection and a radical change in your life. I hope this video speaks to people, because it ain't easy out there, and society promotes outcomes, success, get the car, get the house, get the fancy taps. But when that pressure hits, when that low season hits, it can be exceptionally confusing, and you don't know, because nothing you've done has worked anymore. CBT will have its limitations, but what you need is the deep psychotherapy in order to help you navigate and move up. If this speaks to you, give your heart a like, something out there, because this is real and often shows up in the therapy room. Do take care of you, because if you don't, no one is coming to save you. You better learn to save your precious self. Peace.